So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lou Need, and today I am super excited to have a very special guest coming onto the show. He really has a niche sector that he serves, and I'm really thrilled to hear it and to share it with the fellow audience. His name is Mitch McGinley. Mitch is a leading business broker and exit planning advisor and exclusively serving the boutique, fitness, health, and wellness sector. So he is drawing his experience from being a former studio owner and with a background in hotel management. He founded Boutique Fitness Broker to empower entrepreneurs to strategically plan and execute the sale of their business. I told you, super niche, right? We haven't had one of these on here, so I'm excited to hear how this unfolds, how you run one of these and how you work it. And so with no further ado, Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
My absolute pleasure. Now, background in hotel management, and I can see how you got into it because you own a studio yourself and you probably had to go through the selling process and to learn some stuff. Tell us what kind of got you to that from hotel management to boutique owner and now being a broker.
It's a weird, twisted story, but looking backwards, it kind of makes sense. I worked for Omni Hotels coming out of college and I worked throughout operations and food and beverage. And then I went up to finance. And when I started working in finance and looking at the profit and loss statements for the hotel, I realized who was actually making money in this hotel. It was the owners. The managers were all capped at this certain point where you can have this whole career and you could be a GM of a huge hotel, but you're never going to make as much as the owners do.
Right.
And so I had that realization in that moment that I wanted to be an owner. I felt like that was my next move. And so I went back to school, got an MBA at night, and then I left Omni to go work with this person who was essentially flipping boutique hotels in San Diego. So we did one in Pacific Beach, and then we did a second one in Little Italy. Both of them were wildly successful. We crushed it out of the park. And it was exhausting. And right about that time, my wife and I got a phone call from the owner of our favorite yoga studio. And she said, I want to sell my yoga studio and I want to sell it to you. And we had been members there for years. We've been practicing there for years. My wife is a phenomenal yoga teacher. She'd been there for years. And so it was a dream that we always had. And it didn't make a lot of sense because that business wasn't really making any money. And we were younger and we wanted to start a family, and leaving equity in hotels to buy your neighborhood yoga studio that's not really making money is a daunting proposition. But we did it and had 2 babies, and they got to be raised in that yoga studio. I wouldn't change anything about it in a million years. And then I started doing some consulting work. I got kind of bored. And so I started helping other studio owners with how to be better business people with pricing strategies and sales funnels. And And then when we sold our studio 6 years later, we sold it for 5 times what we bought it for. And we were really proud of that. And all of a sudden, all my friends and colleagues in the industry started asking me for help with selling their studios. And so it just came to me, and I created Boutique Fitness Broker, and I've sold something like 70 yoga, Pilates type studios in the last 5 or 6 years.
Wow. Yeah. And over $10 million in transaction.
Just last year. Yeah. That was last year alone. It was over 10 million.
That is impressive. So you technically have the blueprint on how to sell yoga studios and make it profitable. And, you 5X your first one. And so you're teaching others how to do the same.
That's the goal. And I always just want to share everything that I've learned. Yeah. So that I can help everyone prepare and plan a little bit so you don't get caught off guard by, what it looks like when you're trying to sell your business. For a lot of people, it sneaks up on them. It's something that they weren't planning for. And all of a sudden, like something changes in their life and they need to sell. Mm-hmm. Or, maybe it's just that your lease is coming up to an end. And so it feels like a natural stopping point. And a lot of people might just walk away and like close it up and be like, I'm done now. And you might be leaving something valuable there. But the people who do it best, plan for it. And when they plan for it, they maximize it. When you maximize it, you can walk away with a lot more money.
Yeah.
You deserve for creating something awesome where you probably never made a ton of money in the first place. And so it's very, very, very deserved, and everyone wins.
Yeah.
The community wins, the classes get to keep happening, the teachers get to keep teaching. Most of the times the buyers add new life to the business and put a little new spark in it and bring some new energy. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes people don't like it, but it keeps the community alive in a way that, small businesses we need.
Yeah, and I think that's the most profounding thing about it is that it stays consistent. It stays within the community. As you said, keeps the community alive, because when you think you're closing up shop, you don't know what else is going to be built in place of it, right? And that could then change the face of the community, change the way that looks. And in the neighborhood, then whether they approve of it or not can be a problem. But if you just transition it over or pass it over and build upon what's already there, that does a lot for the community. I can attest to that. I've seen that happen around the way too.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, for the your niche is it's very personal, because Steve Jobs says it's easier to connect the dots looking backwards, and then you see how you started with the hotel and then having to buy your own. So this is like lived experience. Like life taught you all this. That's what makes it so prominent, so relevant, and so helpful, is that you learned this as you were going through it. You learned the do's and the nots and not to do's. So let's talk about some of the do's and don't do's.
Gladly. Let's start with the do's. They're usually the more exciting ones. Some of the best things that you can do right now, no matter if you've never thought about selling your business ever, and this is all true, to be clear, of every type of service business. It doesn't matter, what industry you're in, whether it's, quick serve restaurants or automotive or home services. Like all of these businesses get valued the same way. And so the things that I think are really, really important for people to know is that, number one, the value of your business is largely reflected in your tax returns. Mm-hmm. And so if you're getting ready to exit your business and you've been doing a really creative job of writing off everything that you possibly can to hide any profit so you don't have to pay any taxes, it's going to come back to bite you when you try and sell your business, because your tax returns are going to say that you weren't super profitable. It's very much worth paying the taxes to get a multiple of that revenue. The second thing is, it's really important to have your financial house in order. Mm-hmm. You need to have all of your profit and loss statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, all of these things that every buyer is going to look at during their due diligence. They need to be buttoned up. They're really important documents that people are going to be betting lots of money on. And so surprises in those documents, or looking deeper into something and saying, oh, whoops, that was a mistake. We misclassified that as payroll and it was really rent, can really change the meaning of some things. And so, making sure that your financial house is in order. Same with HR. Check in with your workers' comp policy. Make sure you're current on everything. Make sure you're up to date on all your liability insurance. Check in with your attorney. Make sure that your attorney knows that you're looking to explore an exit, and you're going to need their help and support in getting a deal done. These are all things that should be done, in the years ahead of selling, so that when you are finally ready to really make it happen, you've got all your ducks in a row, and it's just a question of executing the strategy.
If you have, I was thinking about the data you're talking about with the numbers, you can have your P&L, you can have everything in check, and then one number is off. Like you said, the rent that should have been classified as something else. Then it messes up the whole chart. Everything is up for consideration now. Credibility is now lost. So just doing that due diligence initially can save your whole reputation, essentially.
It's crazy. I've seen some crazy things happen deep in due diligence that, everyone wants to believe that they weren't intentional, sincerely, but it doesn't matter. It really changes the fundamental understanding of the number. And so it can wreck it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are some of the don'ts?
The most important thing not to do is take your foot off the gas running your business. You have to keep running your business as if you're never going to sell it. You're going to keep growing it, and it's pedal to the metal all the way to the finish line. Because if you start getting senioritis right as you're about to sell your business, and then get into a situation where you've got an offer, this process takes a long time. It's usually 6 to 9 months. Over the period of 6 to 9 months, a business can really start to fall off if it's getting neglected. And so, you have to keep showing up. You have to keep doing those promotions. You have to keep doing, staff appreciation, all the things that you normally do to take care of your employees and your clients all the way to the finish line. So don't give up. Don't keep it a secret. This is something that will be a surprise to most people. But I'm actually a huge fan of having open, honest conversations about your intentions to sell in the years leading up to it. For the people who are closest to you, your key employees, your closest competitors, the client who loves you so much, who's got a ton of money and nothing else to do, all of these people make for ideal buyers in these businesses. And the problem lies within them not being aware of the opportunity. And so if you're just afraid to say anything about wanting to sell to anyone ever, no one's ever going to know that you want to sell. And the people who are around you who would make for the best buyers won't ever get the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so if you can bring it up in the years ahead of time, just say, hey, yeah, I think when Johnny goes off to college and in a couple of years, I'm going to be ready to travel the world, be free. So you'd be a great person to carry this torch into the next chapter. Let me know if you're ever interested. That's all you have to say. It doesn't need to be a big deal or scare anyone. It's very normal. Buying and selling businesses is normal. People buy and sell businesses all the time. It's like trading a job. We all get tired of the same job. And so, it's also a great way to grow. And so for the aspiring entrepreneurs out there, buying a business is such a phenomenal way to build wealth. No one ever taught me about buying businesses in school until I went to, get a master's degree in business. It was stocks and real estate were the only things that I was ever taught you could invest in. And the reality is you can buy a business and you can get your money back. You can get your money back in 6 or 7 months. And then past that, you've got free cash flow that's coming in that you didn't have before, while you're paying off the principal and the interest of the loan for buying the business, and you're building equity in this business that you're adding value to. It's such a phenomenal return to bet on yourself. I heard one of your other guests talking about this. John Ostenson was talking about franchising and building wealth in this way. And it really is, it's just the best return that I've ever seen. And so, the people who have the confidence to do it are rewarded, because fewer people have the confidence to do this type of investment.
It just seems so massive and so daunting. But if it's with thinking turnkey, if it's already running, you don't have to buy the equipment. If it's already set up, and if you can even keep some of the staff, right? You're just changing management, changing ownership, then it becomes it's less daunting that way. Let's talk about that, because that is a very scary thing.
It is. And truthfully, most of the time it's keeping the same management. Most every buyer I know, the most important person to them is the manager, because that's the job they're most afraid of having to do as the new owner.
Yeah. So that solves that. You don't even have to do the daily, day in and day out task of it. Somebody else, you can just continue running it.
Yeah, and supporting them. I always think of that's your job as the owner. It's to listen to your team and hear what they need and support them.
Yeah, I'm a Bikram yoga person, and I've done it for years. And so being part of that community and seeing the studio, when you talked about transparency, not just for the benefit of buying, but also just letting your clients know, like, this is coming, so that they have ample time to either figure out what they need to do for finding a new studio or thinking about it. Because sometimes we want to keep the studio within the company. And we alluded to that earlier briefly, like the impact it has within the community. And so just that sense of transparency can do really, really good to have.
Oh, it's everything, because, a Bikram studio doesn't want a new owner to come in and change all the classes to vinyasa. Right? They want to keep the Bikram routine, and same with every other thing. And a common fear, I think, even with sellers, is that people are going to come, like these evil corporate people with money are going to come in and change everything and ruin everything. And that's really not the case for me. 50% of our buyers come from within the community themselves. And we're helping them find SBA loans so that they can buy these businesses and keep them in the family, keep them in the community, have it be the person that everyone's going to support as the new owner. And it feels so good.
Yeah, because it's that finding your, what do you call it? Not just community, but finding the people that you want to provide this service to is kind of big. Now, the caliber of people that when we talk about boutiques and wellness, they're very different, right? Because you'll find that those who go to Pilates or does yoga, they usually have a lot more time than the average person, a lot more, as you said, money than the average person. And it's not a necessity. It's something that I want to do. I choose to do. I want to be here. And that aura kind of travels through the studio. That becomes the culture, with a lot of these studios. So let's talk about some of the more differences between the boutique fitness versus the wellness ventures.
Well, I mean, it's such a loaded conversation, and there's so many different mediums and modalities for both fitness and wellness that they overlap in so many places. And, there's so much data too that's, yes, it is, discretionary spending, but it's discretionary spending that has also become more and more important to people for their own mental health. Mm-hmm. And so even in the face of recessions, this industry shows tremendous resilience, because in those times we need our mental health even more, or we're extra stressed. And so I know it's easy to imagine that the people going to Pilates class are all drinking wine after class at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and then, go home and take a nap and in their mansion. And, the reality is, at least for me, and owning our yoga studio in Ocean Beach in San Diego, was that, everyone is a real person, and everyone's working really hard to try and keep all their stuff together. And when you've got parent drama and child drama and work drama and partner drama, getting into a yoga class that you can jam in for 60 minutes and actually find half a moment to not have a thought and reduce some of those, automatic negative thoughts that I've heard you talk about, and give yourself a break from yourself. The reward is to me, has always been priceless. And as an owner, it was so meaningful to watch people run into the yoga studio stressed, late for class, wearing everything. And then they come back out and there's like a tear down the side of their face and they're smiling so big, and they just give you a big hug, and their energy is just completely different.
And then they take that to the families, they take that out to the community, and the community is better for it.
Yeah, it's how we all stay sane. Everybody needs to chill out.
You can say that again. Take a chill pill.
Seriously.
Let's talk about your morning routine. Now, I know you mentioned earlier that you've had one for about 15 years. Your wife got you started about 15 years ago. How do you get up, dress up, and show up? And does it fit in and tie in very well with, the boutique and the wellness aspect of things?
Well, so you're asking me this question at a really special time in my life, because my mornings are now the greatest that they've ever been by light years, because I'm in Spain. And so all my clients are still in the States. And so no one's looking for me until about 3 p.m. every day.
Really? Nice.
Really. So with my kids going to camp or school and my clients not looking for me until about 3 o'clock, I get up in the morning, always with the kids, breakfast. I take them to school or camp, whatever it is. I love having that time to connect with them in the morning. That always feels really important to me. Plus, it just gets me up and gets me out so that I'm then functioning.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who say I'm not really a morning person, but I've learned that that's just an automatic negative thought that I told myself it's not really true. And then I come back home and I have this amazing time with my wife where we get to sit and get grounded with each other and have mindful minutes and hours and conversations and meals around life and business and dream up what we want to dream. And then, she goes and does her thing, and then I go do my thing. And it's just the calmest, most grounding, awesome morning routine I've ever had in my life.
Keeps you composed, so you show up different, right? It sets the tone for when you are ready to meet with the clients and show up for work.
I'm so ready to meet with the clients. I'm caught up. I've responded to every email that I could ever need to respond to. And I'm present for them.
Are you working later, past like 9 p.m. then, the time difference?
I do. So, yeah, sometimes it's, I did one at 1:30 the other day. That wasn't fun. But I'm trying to work East Coast hours. So I'm good till 11 for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the routine, I know you stay active. Are we moving the body in the morning? Are we hydrating? What are some of the things that, or like I know the kid spending time with the kiddos are non-negotiable, but for you, how do you feed, yourself, your mind to get yourself ready?
Well, it's, chugging a thing of water first is the very simplest, easiest, fastest, like always. It's just right there in the bathroom. It's fine. And then, moving my body usually revolves around assisting my children with moving their bodies to where they need to be. But then, a lot of times when we come home, we've got this really beautiful space, and Carson will have her yoga mat sprawled out across the floor. just doing yoga, and she's got like her own class on that she's streaming. And so it's just really easy to throw our yoga mats down and take her yoga class with our eyes closed and in our own living room. And that's my favorite.
Yeah. No, that sounds very, very soothing and calming to get you going. It's nice. And so some of the benefits that you found being this way, because I'm looking at you and listening to you, you are very grounded and very centered and Zen. That is a benefit. It's almost like getting into alignment, and a lot of people like strive to get there. They strive to find this like ease that you exude so effortlessly. What are some things that people can do to get to your level? I had to say, Mitch.
It's funny, when I was working in hotels, I was always the one who they put in front of the people who were mad. It's like, Mitch, I need you over here. Like, this person's really upset about finding something awful in their room. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I don't know why I've always had that. I don't, but it really does feel like my unique superhuman skill is just being incredibly calm and patient and empathetic, I think, with people. A lot of it has come from yoga. It really has. I mean, the lessons that my wife has taught me, just constantly challenging me to be a better person, to be a better parent, to be a better partner, to listen better, to be less reactive. We get into altercations with people all the time. I deal with really difficult negotiations all the time where, tensions are really high and we're talking about millions of dollars. And, the reality is it's never really about you. Like, we're all living our own lives, going through our own issues, and every one of us has a million stressors every day. And if we could just recognize that in each other and both not take it out on each other and not blame each other for it, we would all stop seeing each other as enemies in some way, and all just that we're all the same, and see a likeness in each other. That makes things so much more harmonic and easier.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a lot of rambling, but
it did make sense. It's just that humanness of being a little more compassionate towards each other and actually understanding that everyone's going through it. And if you show up where you kind of take yourself out of the equation to serve the other person, be it just listening, just maintaining eye contact and holding space for the other person, that alone can make a difference. And then it comes back, because I'm a big believer about, like, you magnetize, you attract certain people and things into your life based on what's happening up here, whatever that chatter
Absolutely.
is, or who your heart is, what your intentions are. You bring that into your space. And so if we were to learn to hold space for one another, I think we would attain that.
Yeah, we use the word manifest a lot. That's a big word in our house, and it's whatever it is. If you're focused on it, you're going to manifest it. And so if it's a negative thing that you're really focused on, you're going to manifest that too. There is that law of attraction, if you will, like what you're putting out there will be received, or which wolf will you feed? Like, there's so many elements of this that's just, if you really are able to get clear on what you want, clarify that intention, that's what you want, you will make it happen.
100%. Thomas Edison did say, whether you think you can or cannot, you are right. And that's along the lines of what you're saying, is like hypervigilant, just like focus on whatever you are looking for. And then you'll take aligned action, because it's not like running around like a chicken with their head cut off, helpless, but it's like being attuned, being able to listen and turn in to hear from alignment, to hear what's the next best step. Because then they always say everything you need is inside you. And we take that as a cliche, but it really is true. we just don't know how to close out the noise, block it out so we can go inward and listen. And I think yoga does that very well. It's meditation gets us there very well. And as I sit here talking to you, I see that it's proof of that. And so you're living proof of it.
I hope so. I mean, that's, I hope to be walking the talk of everything that I'm doing, whether it's, selling businesses or moving abroad or, helping people start new chapters, exit old chapters, and helping guide them through it. I love this stuff.
Yeah. And then your experiences with it more than qualify you, right? Because you've lived it. Not only you embody it, right? Not only you practice it, you're living it. It's transformed you and also provided for your living, right? So there's a whole holistic gratitude and appreciation around it.
And it's fun to even, my son's 12 now, and I had him helping me with work this weekend.
Yeah. Fantastic. Mitch, it's been so amazing connecting with you. Yeah, it's been so amazing connecting with you. How do we connect with you? Where do we find you?
All of our stuff is at Boutique Fitness Broker. That's all of our social media handles. And then you can email me directly, mitch@boutiquefitnessbroker.com. Fantastic.
It's been such a joy having you on the show. Anything you'd like to leave us with? Your favorite quote, mindset boost?
My favorite quote, it's the one that always comes up. It's, there was a magnet on my refrigerator when I was a kid that said, success is not what your bank account says. It's how wonderful a human being your child is. And that has always stuck so hard with me, both as a child and now as a parent. And so, that's what I try to focus on the most. And I wish more people would.
Be intentional with kids. Yeah. Because I've never heard that before, but we don't think about that. We don't think about the power on how we raise our kids, because then you think the next generation, they are the next generation, they are the next people going into the workforce, they are the next people voting, right? And so how successful they are really is a generational wealth or generational healing that takes place. But not a lot of people make that correlation, success and the well-being of kids.
I feel like there's a lot of healing that needs to happen.
Tons of it. So much of it. A lot of unlearning has to happen. And I say it that way because I've had to do a lot of unlearning from be it childhood trauma or being programmed, those automatic negative thoughts I tell you about. All that has to be unlearned to get back to our our source of who we are, going back into ourselves, essentially. So it gets harder when kids are in the mix, because then you have to model that. You don't just have to teach it, you have to model it.
Right. Without projecting it way easier said than done, right?
It is. Do your grunt work, but also you got to do the work so you embody it, so you're living it, because they're not listening to what you say, they're watching what you do.
Always. It's creepy.
It's been such an honor having you on, Mitch. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Next time I'm in San Diego, we'll have to hang out for real.
Yes, indeed.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time,